Hello, today I'm going to start to read a book called Time Jumpers. It's a series that we have here at the library, and it is a science fiction book, which means that it is not true stories. It's stuff that can't happen. And also it involves things that involve complicated science thing. In this case, they're going to be time traveling, which is not possible, but if it could happen, they would use some advanced science technology or something like that to be able to do it. So I'm going to read the story from this book, Time Jumpers, and this one in the series is called Escape from Egypt. And this book is written by Wendy Maas. Chapter 1, Shake, Rattle, and Roll. Chase presses his pillow over his head. It still doesn't drown out the noise coming from the suitcase under the bed. The sound had been getting louder and louder all night. What a long, strange day. Earlier, he and Ava had met a woman named Madeline at the flea market. She gave them an old suitcase with many strange objects inside. But when they touched one of the objects, they jumped back in time to King Arthur's castle. Their adventure was awesome, except the part where a mean man named Randall and with two different colored eyes kept chasing them. Then he'd called them time jumpers, whatever that means. The pillow was suddenly yanked off of Chase's head. Next page. I can hear that suitcase banging around all the way from my room, Ava says in a loud whisper. Try sleeping above it, Chase grumbles. Ava grabs the suitcase. Chase scrambles out of bed. Ava, we agreed not to open it yet. We need to be prepared before we travel through time again. We have to ask Madeline what it means to be a time jumper. I know, Ava replies, but she is already opening the lid. I won't touch anything. I just want to know what is making all this noise. Chase has to admit he's curious too. The answer is clear right away. The black stone beetle with the green hexagon-shaped jewel on its back is popping out of its slot. Chase reaches over to push the beetle back into place. As soon as his fingertips grazes it, he realizes his mistake. Ava gasps and yanks his hand away. It's too late. The room has already started to spin. Ava grabs for Chase's pajama sleeve, catching it just before the room fades away. No, Chase shouts as he squeezes his eyes shut. We're not ready. Chapter 2, A Sandy Surprise. Heat, sand, and wind hit Chase and Ava from all sides. Where are we? Chase shouts over the roar. Why can't I feel the ground? You have to see this, Ava shouts back. It's amazing. Chase opens his eyes and his jaw drops. He instantly gets a mouthful of sand. He spits it out and yelps. We're in the desert. Well, not in the desert exactly. More like hanging in the air 10 feet above the desert. In the distance, Chase can see the tops of pyramids rising above the sandstorm. Pyramids? He risks another grainy mouthful to shout, We're in ancient Egypt. The beetle in the suitcase must be a scarab beetle. It was a symbol of strength and power back then. We must need to do something with it, or else we wouldn't have landed here. We haven't actually landed anywhere, Ava points out. Chase looks down and wishes he hadn't. Whoa, what is that? A scorpion the size of his face is crawling across the sand. Suddenly, they're swept up in the wind again. Chase grabs for Ava's hand. Get ready to run away from the scorpion when we land, he shouts. But instead of hitting the soft sand, they land on the hard wooden floor of Chase's bedroom. Thump. Ava sits up and sand flies from her hair. What happened? She asked. Last time we traveled back in time, we only got home after we returned the object that sent us to the past. Maybe we came right back this time because my finger only touched the beetle for 1 second, Chase suggests. I never actually held it. Ava nods. That must be it, she said. Hey, at least we got a sneak peek of where we're going next. Chase grins and grabs a book on the history of Egypt off his shelf. Yes, and now we know what to bring. Chase, Mom calls from her room. Are you still up? Ava shoves the suitcase back under the bed and dashes to her room. Going to sleep right now, Mom, Chase calls out. And if the suitcase would stop rattling, that would be a lot easier. Chapter 3, Looking for Answers. Get them while they're hot, Dad says, setting his famous waffles on the table. I'm going to wake up Mom. He heads upstairs. Chase dives in before Ava can take all the waffles. Did the suitcase keep you up all night? Ava asks Chase as she smothers her waffles with syrup. She is wearing the tie-dyed tutu and sunglasses she got at the flea market yesterday. I was too excited to sleep, so I looked up how to turn bed sheets into ancient Egyptian robes. We'll fit right in, Chase says. I just wish we didn't have to wait so long to talk to Madeline again. The next flea market is a whole week away, but we need answers now. We can get our answers right now, Ava says, waving a small notebook in the air. I found Madeline's address, and we can bike to it. Good job, Chase says as they dig into their breakfast. Hey, where did all the waffles go? Mom asks, joining them at the table. Oops, sorry, Ava says, swallowing the last bite. Is it okay if we go for a bike ride? Chase asks. Make sure you stay on the sidewalks, their mom says sleepily. Maybe the rattling kept her up last night, too. Should we bring the suitcase? Ava asks as they grab their bikes from the garage. Chase shakes his head. We can't take a chance that Madeline might want it back. He doesn't want to scare Ava, so he doesn't mention his bigger worry, Randall. There is a special remote in the suitcase that they'd use to get home from King Arthur's castle. Chase knows Randall has a similar remote. When they left the castle, Randall was being taken to the king's dungeon. But if Randall had his remote with him, he could have escaped. Ava sings to herself as they bike across town, but Chase can't help sneaking peeks over his shoulder. About 20 minutes into their ride, Ava stops and pulls a map from her basket. I think we're lost. We're still all the way over here. She points to a street they passed a long time ago. Chase shakes his head. You're holding the map upside down. Ah, she says, rotating it. Then she points across the street. That's Madeline's house right there. The house looks totally normal. 2 stories, a front porch, and kids' toys on the lawn. Chase feels a flash of disappointment. He'd expected something more mysterious. Before they can ring the bell, a woman comes around from the side of the house. It's Madeline. She sees them and almost drops the flower box she's holding. Chase's head swirls with all the questions he wants to ask her. His heart quickens. They're finally going to get some answers. Chapter 4, Spinning Tales. Hello again, Madeline says. I figured I hadn't seen the last of you two. Chase and Ava, right? That's us, Ava said. Madeline's eyes flick down the street in both directions, then she waves for them to follow her to the backyard. Wait here, she points to a bench. I'll get us some lemonade and we can talk. The lemonade is refreshing after their long bike ride. Chase gulps it down, then asks, Can you tell us where the suitcase you gave us came from? My uncle brought it here a few months ago before he left for a business trip. She points to Chase's head. He works at the National History Museum where you got your hat. I hadn't meant to bring the suitcase to the flea market yesterday. It must have gotten mixed in with the other bags I was selling. Did you ever look inside? Chase asks. She shakes her head. I couldn't get it open. Nothing rattled around when I shook it, so I figured it was empty. Chase and Ava share a look. It sure is rattling now. Why did you give it to us? He asks. When I was growing up, my uncle told me a bedtime story about a brother and sister who could do magical things. I know it sounds crazy, but when the suitcase opened for you, and then I saw your dinosaur hat, I felt like maybe you were the kids from the story. A chill goes down Chase's spine. Ava shivers too. Why does Randall want the suitcase so badly? Ava asks. Madeline blinks. Who's Randall? You know, the guy who was yelling at you in the flea market, Ava says. Tall, bold, different colored eyes, bad breath. Leave it to Ava to notice his breath. Oh, that guy, Madeline says. I never saw him before. But didn't he call you by your name? Chase asks. And what are time jumpers? Ava asks at the same time. Madeline jumps up, knocking over her lemonade. Sorry, I have to go. The back door bangs shut behind her. Well, Ava said, that was super weird. Chase nods. At least we know a little more than when we got here, he says. Let's go home. We've got a beetle to bring back in time. Chapter 5, Picture This. Chase's legs ache from pedaling. He can't wait to get home. He packed the sheets and snacks. And all he has left to do is fill the canteens they use on family hikes. They'll need a lot of water in the desert. Ava catches up to him. Do you think Madeline is right about us being the kids from her uncle's story? What if we're not and we mess everything up? The suitcase opened for us, Chase points out. I think that means we're the right ones. I hope so, Ava says. They park their bikes and wave to their parents. Let's duck inside before they ask for help with their latest art project, Ava whispers. Good idea, Chase replies. Last week, he and Ava had spent 3 hours sorting tiny buttons into piles by color. They can hear the suitcase as soon as they get upstairs. That beetle clearly wants us to hurry up, Ava says. Chase hands Ava the 2 canteens to fill, then plucks a paperback copy of Egyptian history from his bookshelf. He flips through it and gasps. When Ava returns, he holds up the book so she can see the page. Look at this. Her eyes widen. That looks just like the beetle in the suitcase. I think it is our beetle, Chase exclaims. But ours doesn't have those tiny pictures painted on the bottom, Ava says, pointing. We don't know that, Chase says. Only one way to find out, Ava says. As soon as she opens the lid, they have their answer. The beetle has popped out of his slot and is lying upside down. Tiny symbols painted in gold run along the bottom. These pictures are an ancient Egyptian language called hieroglyphics, Chase explains. I bet I can figure out what the pictures on the beetle mean. He quickly flips to the back of this book. His eyes dart back and forth between the beetle and a chart. Well, what do the pictures say? Ava asks. Then he looks up, eyes round. They say, Tutankhamun, ruler of Upper Anu. That's King Tut's full name. This beetle must belong to King Tut. Chase has been fascinated with the young king ever since visiting the Egyptian wing at the museum. King Tut might have touched this, he said, grabbing the beetle. Ah, Ava yelps, throwing both arms around her brother. Chase looks at her in surprise. Then, with a sinking feeling, he realizes what he has done again. Off they go. All right, and the next chapter 6, we will pick it up next time there and find out how their adventure goes.